All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Database. I'm MJ here, and over there is David. And we're here to talk about shortcuts, in particular shortcuts of lake houses, with shortcutting onto a blob storage. And basically from that, we wanna, put that into action with something like a notebook and see how that really plays out. And we'll also talk about a little bit nitty-gritty details about what works, what doesn't work. And so, yeah, let's get going, David.
Yeah, thanks, MJ. One thing I would say, this is probably not the normal kind of demo where everything goes smooth. I've actually hit a few bumps on the way. So I think, and then there's also part of it that I haven't really, I've got the concept, but I haven't really done it as yet. So it's one of the videos that, you might just end up seeing me struggling. All right, let me share my screen. We'll actually start with the actual storage accounts. Because that's where I actually had a bit of problem with. So when I go into Lakehouse, um, so here's my Lakehouse. So I got my blob accounts created, got a container. I'm kind of feeding data into it, and so I came here and I go, okay, I'll just create a shortcut from here, and I can just select, ADIS Gen 2. So okay, well that's cool. I should be able to connect. But actually, I can't. The problem is, even though it says storage v2 here, this one in particular, this one was actually created from the original storage account, and then later on get upgraded into v2.
Mm.
But as part of the upgrade, there's because I can't remember the actual setting that was selected
Hierarchical
by default.
namespace. Hierarchical namespacing.
Yeah. And then there's another, I think, something to do with the security side of things as well. So there's like two of the settings that
Yeah.
that prevents me from creating migrating into like a full ADIS Gen 2. And so when I try to connect it from here, because this connection only accepts this, right, storage. So I actually run into some like strange issues where it doesn't give me any error logs. It just says you can't connect. There's an error. It failed. Like, gee. So what I actually end up having to do, because when I look it up, there's actually no way for me to actually fully just convert that into a V2, into a Gen 2 account. So I actually have to create one from scratch. And luckily, I don't have too much data in there, so I don't need to worry too much about the migration side of things. But I'd imagine this might be a really pain point for a lot of the people. Yeah. So at least for now, the connection is only supported for ADIS Gen 2. So here is my endpoint. Just to be very clear that it does require the DFS like storage endpoint. So the normal blob endpoint is not gonna work here. So if I, oops, I just type this in, it will take me to connection page. I already have a connection with connection the access key all filled in, so it takes me directly into the actual folder within like the container folders. So I think it's this one that I need to use. Yeah, so I'll click that and go create. So this is the shortcut that we've got. This one is actually all JSON files in there. My original one is all CSV files, and I run into problems with shortcut as well. Actually, while we're on it, I'll just create that one for the CSV one as well. I think it might be good to have that comparison.
Yeah.
So here I've got all the CSV files. And good thing in all the demos that I've been doing, I can just start to create notebooks from here, right? I've got the shortcuts in my Lakehouse, and I can just jump in and start to do all kind of analysis that I need to do. So if I just open up a existing one, okay, we're starting with just trying to load the So we've got a shortcut here within the Lakehouse. What I'm doing here is trying to take a pretty straightforward thing, just okay, Spark, just read the JSON files from this folder. Really, it's just a shortcut. Actually, I got that one here. This is another, so I should get rid of this part. So if I do that, you will start to load all the JSON files. Everything seems to be working fine. Just trying to load it into a pandas data frame here. It's pretty quick. And if I just want to go, okay, I want to see the data frames, I run into this kind of errors. And after some digging, there's actually a few options that I actually need to take when I actually read the file, because the JSON file is not in a kind of a clean, flat format. That's how JSON works. As you can see in the coordinates, there's actually another layer underneath. Same with like some of the other attributes in here that is just layered. And I think that's what's causing the problem. It might end up corrupting some of the records. So hence I actually need to try a different method here. Just give it a bit more options, but it's still kind of loading all the JSON files from the shortcut.
Yeah, this is interesting because well, first off, like you're using Spark against files on a ADLS Gen 2 without having to copy it to one lake, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So now question there would be how does the authentication of that really works? That's probably something when by the time you actually add that shortcut, it honors that same credential principle, right? It's basically like um, using that pass-through credential that you've just
Yeah.
established. Yeah.
I skipped the authentication part actually. So I just use access key. It's a bit easier for that whole purpose. And yeah, so there's a authentication options. There's few of them. So I use access key and then just key in the access key for that Gen 2 storage. So
Yep.
that's how it connects. And actually, so while we're talking about that, do you know like where does the compute actually happen? So when I
In,
do this,
in capacity, in fabric capacity.
in fabric capacity.
Yeah.
So I assume there's a process of loading data into memory. So it's in,
Yeah, exactly. So the data frame sits on Spark, right? And Spark jobs are basically within the capacity. So technically speaking, it's still a fabric capacity loading that data in when it's a data frame. Yeah.
yep, cool. So so this is the kind of like what I end up getting it to work to a certain degree. I mean, the data is not flat for what I need for reporting purposes as yet. But at
Yeah.
least the data is kind of in there. It's all accurate. You can see there's only like a couple of lines. It takes a bit of troubleshooting here. But the other thing I want to show is when I try to do it with the CSV files. So it's the same kind of data. I created some of them and saved them as CSVs because I thought, well, CSV will probably be easier to for data frame like Spark, PySpark to actually work with to load. But it turned out I couldn't find a proper solution because the problem I'm facing with the weather data is they're not always consistent. So sometimes there's rain, sometimes there's no rain. And when there's no
Mm.
rain, the rain attribute disappears.
Disappear. Yeah.
So that means in the CSV file form, like the columns actually changes. Sometimes there's two extra columns, sometimes there's not. And I thought, well, with all the options here, there might be an option that just kind of force some of those things back onto like
Just set it to
PySpark
null,
to
right?
handle.
Yeah. Pretty much like if it doesn't exist, just set it to null or something.
Yeah. And I couldn't find it, right? I couldn't find it. I've been searching up and down, like the documentation side of things is not great
Yeah.
for like I
Well,
want to.
here's the other take there, David. Is if I'm me and I'm putting my data engineering hat, um, yeah, like obviously I would still do like again that medallion architecture, bronze, silver, and gold, right? I would still want to land that CSV into a table format first, um, instead of just trying to like get that straight away and like So what I meant by that is that there are ways to convert those CSVs into tables first. I think for me, that's the approach I would be doing first, like loading them into tables.
Yeah, and maybe in the next time when we have this kind of hands-on thing, we can actually
Yeah.
have that step in between. But I would argue though, like it's Jupyter Notebook, right? And when like people from whether data science background or like even some of data engineers, they see Jupyter Notebook, they understand the kind of power it can have, and like it's actually relatively easier to actually resolve these problems we like out of the PySpark side of things, just with pandas. Simple things like I just want to get a list of the files in the shortcut.
Hmm.
I couldn't find an easy way to actually find that information. Like,
Yeah.
that's the type of things that you go, oh, surely that should be easy. But
Hmm.
when you actually do it, yeah, I I went to the PySpark. I went, the documentation. Like, there's no easy way to actually just go, oh, here's how you can actually list all the files. I can list them. I can find the list from if I want to reconnect to the Gen 2 storage. So if I establish a connection from the notebook back there, then that's fine. I can get the list. But that kind of defeats the purpose of a shortcut as well, right?
Mm. Well, what if is it possible to do it in a loop statement then? Like, like you try to like traverse in the
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like we need to have that list in the first place, right? Before we can iterate
mm,
through the loops. And I just couldn't find it. Like if I go uh uh Fabric notebook uh ADL's Gen 2 shortcut. Even like searching for these things is not necessarily easy. List of files. So you get like, okay, uh this is how you get the list, how you create, how to connect, um, and then okay, at least on the first page, like I couldn't find that information that I'm looking for.
yeah.
And then I can go to second page. I can try Google. I can talk to my good friend ChatGPT or Cloud AI, but I end up at the same point where yeah, I couldn't get that command to work. So that's frustrating. And like it's always these simple things, right? You think that the connection is a big problem, but when we get hands-on to actually do the pipeline, like there's a lot of simple things that used to take a few minutes. Now, yeah, it can end up taking, a few hours or a few days. And I think that's with any change really, but just one thing that I'm kind of struggling with a little bit. Um, yeah, so but if I do use JSON, if because JSON it's when it understand when PySpark understand the format is JSON, it kind of understand that okay, the kind of the hierarchy is probably built in, so
Mm,
we need to be a bit more careful. So I can get things like okay, I at least loaded all the data in a very consistent format into my data frame, and then with this kind of additional data that I can do things like I can convert them, I can get the value out, I can further do some ETLs, like the transformation steps to get the information I need out of it.
yeah.
So that's all fine. I just haven't got to do that as yet.
Yeah, and it's also
Um,
easy to load it to the table as well, right? From here onwards.
yeah, once I do the conversion through the notebook, once it's working, I can also do like incremental refresh
Mm.
from. Or do I even need to do it? Yeah, probably. Do I need to do it? If I The end goal here is to create a report, right? And I've got the
Yeah,
shortcut.
you would still need to put it in a table, right? Eventually.
I will need to load it into a table here, right? So
Yeah, ideally, right? Because this is a file shortcut, you still want to, yeah, like put them there. and then
Yes.
eventually you want to, like do more transformations. Like if you want to go, like dims and facts and things like that, right? Like measures. So, um, yeah, I think so. The next step is really to still convert that into a table.
So just to be clear that okay, I'll do some. The next step from here is we'll do some transformation. Well, I will do some transformation steps on the data frame. I will then load it into add it into a data pipeline.
Oh, what? Sorry.
Do I add it into a data pipeline? So the data is
Uh,
coming in on every hour. So when I see the
y-
report, I want it to be updated. So
yeah, yeah.
I'm
So
thinking a data pipeline.
yeah, so create a data pipeline, and inside the data pipeline, you can reference the notebook that does the transformation into a table.
Yeah.
Um,
So
but
if, but I
also
can.
the other, yeah, now that you mention it, maybe there's also an approach using Data Factory, to directly just convert those CSVs, right? Or JSONs into tables as well,
So you use Dataflow Gen 2 to
or data pipeline, Gen 2 or
data
pipeline, maybe.
pipeline.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Take a look. Let's see if there's a source that points to the shortcut. Yeah, like
Uh, Using copy data or
yeah. Maybe copy data is a good start. Yeah, use the assistant if you want. But that can
oh
also
yeah.
work. Yeah, the
Um,
source. Try to select the um yeah,
that's the
that's the lake house.
yeah, one of the files. So this will be because it goes to the root. Yep.
Yeah.
Git
So
browse.
it honors even if you're on data pipeline, it honors the idea of a shortcut. Yeah,
Yep.
which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see,
Okay.
yeah. It's
Yep.
just treated like as if it's in one leg, right?
Yep.
Although it's a bit slower because technically it's not in one leg. That's why the loading.
Well, I've got an F2 instance as well, so that's probably part of the reason as
Yeah,
well. So I just click OK here,
yeah, like okay.
and
Yeah, file format. I think the file format. Maybe can you change that? The file format to JSON.
so
Yeah. And recursive. Yeah, make it recursive.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, should be fine. Then destination. Try to point it to a lakehouse table, right? Like same lakehouse, but like different table. Uh, like new. Let's create a new one. Like yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. Append, override. Either is fine.
You overwrite for now. Bit
Yeah.
easier.
Save and run. I try to leave it for now. See if it works as out of the box.
I just run.
Yeah, just click run. Yeah, this is interesting. Like literally, we're testing this on the fly. Like you don't have a lot of data in there, right? Like it's not
No,
like
yeah, like it's JSON file is really just one row of data. It's
yeah,
just
there you go.
and it's an hourly one. I just saw there's like 200 something files in there.
Yeah.
Okay, it's done.
Cool.
If I
And
come back to my Lakehouse,
search.
refresh. Right, hey, got my new table.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, okay.
boom, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, told you,
Yeah.
man. The order rules, man.
Can you explain the order again? How does
Okay,
it?
yeah. So basically, yeah, in a not so technical term, basically like you see that it knows if it's a character or it's a a number or it's a some flotation point and stuff like that. Like you would see at the top, right? Like countries of ABC and then like sys IDs like a 12L, that type of thing. So through Spark, again, underneath it, right? Although we use data pipelines, it still uses Spark underneath to do the copying of those files from file into a table. And as part of that, like it uses that V order concept to map like, hey, what if I have this column? I have this data. Like, where do I put it into? Like so on and so forth. And like vorder is really good on those instances where you just really want to get that initial dump of things. And then you perform your transformations, your validation, your mixings and matchings and stuff like that on the next phase, which is something like a silver zone, right?
Yeah, and the great thing is it actually because it's a JSON format as we've saw, it's got multiple layers as well. So this one just flattens the whole thing
Yeah,
out of the box as well, and it's just a very simple copy command.
yeah,
I don't need to worry about. Whereas before, like in the notebook, there's so many different options, and I can only get it to
yeah.
like halfway mark.
Exactly. That's why, as much as I really love notebooks, man, David. Like, there are instances, especially when initial ingestion, like pipelines, Gen 2, and all those stuff. Like, they're really good at that. Like, the initial dumps, and it's really not where notebook really shines is when you have to do the more complex transformations. Yeah.
Yeah, more complex transformation. So initial load. So let's say like from like bronze, silver, gold type of data classification. So
Yeah.
here in the within the shortcut, that's brown.
Yeah.
To get from brown to the silver layer.
You'd probably want to use a notebook at that point. Yeah. Because you're
So
already done with the parsing aspect, right? Now you just want to focus on the logical transformations of it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's when a notebook really shines.
okay. All right. So I mean it's pretty good, like 24 seconds.
Yeah.
Is 200 something files. So I think the next thing I'll try to do here is to actually set up, not now, not today, but to actually set up the incremental refresh. Yeah. So that need to be configured separately. But like no, this is really cool. Copy really works that much better, and it's one of those intuition thing for me as well. When I see Python, I just go, oh, I'll just do it in Python. But
Yeah.
but 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 now it's like, okay, I actually should do it using like data pipelines. The copy is amazing. So I should actually do it here.
Exactly. And
And
again, it just works, man. It's one of those things, like it just works. And even if your data is gigabytes, terabytes, that thing would work, man.
yeah.
Like
So
you
so
don't want to create your custom connector just to copy data. Like that thing is
mm,
like battle tested, man.
yeah. Oh, cool. Well,
There's
this is
resiliency aspect of it as well, man. Like there's like partitioning aspect and everything. It's just all taken care of. Like you don't have to handle like what if 70% is only copied, like and or 30% blah blah. Like that's all already handled for you.
so would you say to kind of get data from one place to another, default
Yeah,
option
yeah,
is
yeah,
to use
exactly.
copy?
100%
And
for me. That's my really go-to approach.
okay,
Um, yeah, and even
is
if you
that
have a straight mapping of like column to column, that's also a good approach. Um,
okay?
yeah, like again, I like this again just for that initial copy. What it's not good at is trying to copy this, but expect that you're going to do transformations as well as part of this, and then you ended up having like very, very big canvas of transformation logic, right? That's what I don't like.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So like for those scenarios, copy will be like somewhere towards the end, and then there's going to be a few more steps that kind of fits
mm,
some parameters into
yeah, and
into
then
the
yeah,
source.
and
Yeah.
and then put a notebook in there, put a little bit of this in there, like it's all kind of like bundled in together.
Yeah. So like for example here, that's
There
what
you go,
where
right?
the watermark kind of comes in, right? We need a
Yeah,
parameter here to go, what's the let's modify start time. Yeah, we'll keep on exploring. I will keep on exploring for the next few days, and hopefully next week we'll come back to this again, and we'll try to complete the end-to-end cycle as well. So we'll go from here to getting data into a table, setting up the incremental refresh for next week, and also adding a simple report for next week as well.
yeah, sounds good,
That's the
man.
goal. Awesome.
All right, thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you soon as part 2 of this video.
All right. See you next time.